Double Dragon 3, the Rosetta Stone.
What insert only need and insert that insert.
Double Dragon 3, the Rosetta Stone.
What insert only need and insert that insert.
Double Dragon 3, the Rosetta Stone.
What insert only need and insert that insert.
Main phase.
Hello and welcome to another one of the Just June episodes where I'm going to be looking at, this time, bad games, bad arcade games in MAME. These ones I think are bad. People might disagree, other people might think some of these are good, some people might think I've missed a lot of the bad ones, but there's going to be part two, so this is just part one. This is some of the more obvious ones maybe, or just ones I've been looking at recently. I mean, I'm starting with probably the most obvious of all, which is Double Dragon 3, which you can see running in the corner now, and we'll go into why I think that's a really bad game shortly. Now, I see there's quite a few of you already in the chat. We've got Carlo, we've got Mitchell, we've got Main Fan, nice and early. We've got myself commenting. And who else we got? We have got Bob, and we have Cow. Cow's nice and early too. So I don't think Bob's come up with a random fact of the day or random what day it is day quite yet, but I'm sure he has one ready because he always does. Also, Super Volteco, welcome. And Mo, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. And I'm going to quickly now switch to the switch views. Turn my volume back up. Down here will do. Don't want this game to be too loud. And full screen it. So, wait, no, sorry. Wrong view. Just a second. Horizontal view. That's the one I want. Anyway. So, I think most people know Double Dragon. The first Double Dragon game is a very famous arcade game. Everybody loved it. It had its flaws, quite serious programming issues. The second game followed along the same lines, basically the same engine, just new levels and everything else. And then the third game. This was developed by East Technology, rather than the original company, and it's on completely different hardware. And you can immediately see the characters feel like they're moving around in blocks. And that's not good. And your jump animation is floaty and then you drop down to ground. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't play right. Everything is completely unresponsive. So yeah. Now I'm struggling here on the first wave of enemies because of these very poor controls. You jump around the screen. You move up in steps. I don't know what happened with the programming of this game. It looked, I mean, they've got nice sprites. The sprites have the frames of animation you need. And they sometimes, when it's scrolling, it feels like they're moving quite smoothly. But when the screen's not scrolling, it's awful. A remake of this. Mad Dog McPhee. Yeah. Oh, look, I've already lost a credit. Used a credit. I'm not beating the first lot of enemies yet. Now, I see this graffiti in the background that says love and peace, and I'm not feeling those emotions when playing this game. I mean, look, this is the start of the game, and yeah. I would have hoped it would be a remake of the first game, Mitchell, as Rockman says, because I don't think anybody would want to remake this or think that it'd be a good idea and people would buy it, because this game has such a bad reputation. Now. Oh, look. We got winded or something. I don't really know. Everybody takes too many hits. Are you dead yet? Yes. Right. So look, even with no enemies on the screen, this is how you move around. You move up in steps, down in steps, this way. It's slow. Now, that's not even the main offender. Main offender with this game. The real thing that makes this game offensive is this, the weapon shop.
What would you like? You only need 1 coin.
Insert 1 coin to purchase any of the below. You have to put coins in to buy tricks. Or you can put more coins in, you can buy more energy. And power up. And so now, apparently I have tricks and power-ups and energy. But look, when it's scrolling, it doesn't look too bad. But that's because your character's not moving around the screen, your character's in one place. It's just as soon as you... up and down still really rough on it. Anyway, so welcome Irem. Welcome Rockman, good to see you all. Welcome Jason. No, this one doesn't have left and right attack buttons, Jason. This one is just more controls like a regular beat 'em up. The original Double Dragon and Renegade, I believe, both use left and right attack buttons. This one just has you moving left and right in the ugly left-right dance. Or running. Look, you can run. And then there's a weird bit of momentum where you stop running. Oh, I don't know. It's kind of horrible. But we can go there. Now, sometimes the game will actually crash before you get there. And you can soft lock the game before you even get there. Now, you're meant to flying kick these at exactly the right time. But with these laggy controls, that's maybe the NES version is playable. I mean, that's one of the things with this game. I had this game, I think, on the CPC and the Spectrum. Now, the CPC version is basically impossible to complete because the game runs slower than the Spectrum version, but the timer doesn't, so you don't have time to complete the last level. And I kind of thought, you know, it's a bad port, but maybe there's a good game in there somewhere. So, you know, one of the first things I did when I found emulators was try and play Double Dragon 3. And I realised the arcade version is actually less playable than the home versions.
China.
And that takes some doing. I think you can play Cube Quest without the Laserdisc, can't you? I'm not sure. I think that the actual 2D graphic, well, 3D graphics it renders still work. Yeah, quality stream. Now, I don't even... Is this one of the tricks I learned, or is that just a normal move? I don't even know what these so-called tricks are, because the game doesn't tell you. It just goes, you have tricks. You know, I bought some tricks. Let's go in here. What can I... Oh, look. I can buy extra guys. I can buy... I cannot use more tricks. I can buy weapons, though. I'll buy... Even the shop screen here is really laggy on the control. I don't understand how they've done it so badly. Even when it's trying to take the money. Oh, look, I've got this really bad weapon now, which has no range whatsoever. It's like... It does more damage, but the attack range is now far worse. That's what I learned. Is it the hair flip? I thought it might be. You use both buttons, and oh look, I bought that weapon I just bought with my own money is now lying on the ground there, and I have to actually go and pick it back up. So you don't even get. It's not like an automatic. You keep the weapon. It's you put an entire extra coin in, and you have to try and go and get the weapon all the time and pick it back up, and then wish you hadn't even got the weapon. Yes, Technos outsourced this to East Technology. Can you tell? I don't know, Carl. I mean, as I say, the original Double Dragon games were technically incredibly flawed, but they still managed to be fun. And even when you're pushing the screen, you feel far too close to the edge to anticipate anybody coming up and attacking you. I remember back in the day when the priorities were all wrong here as well in MAME. But look, dead air. Nobody. You have to kill me before you touch the stone. I don't want to touch the stone. Oh look, my weapon's on the floor again, and I am dead. And I believe... Oh look, now I've got a different guy I bought, I think, or something, who's even slower. Or something. My attacks are super slow. I don't have my weapon anymore because I've lost it. Operation Wolf 3 is potentially on the list, yes. Super Volteca. Maybe it's a stone that makes the game better. That would be nice, wouldn't it? No, but that's asking too much. I mean, you know, I'll criticise games that use tile maps instead of proper sprite hardware to do action games, and we'll be looking at one of those later. But this has proper sprites. These are proper sprites. Why do they move around the screen like this? Oh look, that character's dead now. That character was useless. Shall I continue? I'm Billy again. Wonderful. And I don't have my tricks. I don't have anything. All the things I put extra money in for, I no longer have because I've died and continued. Evening, Stephen. You get to watch me suffer Double Dragon 3. We're 15 minutes into the stream. I can't turn the game off yet. So also, hey R9, I think I might have missed you earlier when you joined and made a comment. Yeah, I've not really played the NES version of this. I say I played the 8-bit micro versions of this. Another coin. I don't even get a strategy. The movement is so slow and laggy, it's really difficult to attack and move. Attack and move. You know, strategy on a lot of these beat 'em ups is attack and move. On this one... Is that another credit I've got to put in? So, I could try kicks. I mean, but again, they're really slow. But oh dear, I think he's there. The left and right attack was just the formula for the games hadn't really been established at that point, and I think they thought that was a good idea. And if you're used to it, it works quite well. I mean, it certainly works better with the left and right attack than whatever this game is trying to do. So I should have probably put a coin count on the bottom of the screen here for just how much money this atrocity is taking off me. The enemies don't have health bars, so I have no idea how much more health this enemy has. You know, I have no idea if he's regaining his health every time I continue, which would not surprise me, but I don't know. I wonder how many people actually played this sort of past here. Have you gone down yet? Nope. At least he's out of breath now. You played it past in the arcades or just on MAME? This is just as painful to play. This seems an effective strategy right now. After finding the first stone, the heroes give up and go home.
Mission 3, Japan.
I've not really played Neon. There are other bad Double Dragon games, of course. There's Double Dragon 5 on the Jaguar and SNES, I think. The Double Dragon fighting game on the Neo Geo is not too bad. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think that one's alright. It actually plays fairly well. Not very Double Dragon-like, but it's playable. Oh look, we've got another shop where I can temporarily buy something.
What would you like? Only need 1 coin. Thank you.
I can buy a weapon. I can buy tricks again.
Thank you.
I can buy... Oh, I need to insert some more coins for the energy and the power up. Now survive a whole extra 10 seconds probably. Oh, I've got a sword this time. Had a sword this time. Dying again. Had a sword. I don't think they want me to have a sword. The weapons don't seem to give you much advantage. That's just the worst part. You're paying for this weapon, and it looks cool more than it seems to be useful. I've never even watched the movie Super Voltec. I didn't even know it was meant to be tied to a movie, although I guess the intro FMV kind of does give it away. See, now that's not even kick, it's just low slash. I mean, the music's passable. I don't mind the music that we've got going on here, but that's really the only redeeming quality the game has. I mean, if you talk about how, in some ways, Mug Smashers seems to be a bit of a clone of this hardware. Not exactly, not enough to keep it in the same driver. But Mug Smashers, as cheesy it is a much better game. If Mug Smashers has been released as Double Dragon 3, I don't think people would have minded it. The NES music's 10 times better, is it? I mean, the NES had some decent beat 'em ups, didn't it? There was a Mighty Final Fight and the like as well on the NES. I'm just going to walk down here. Right. So when Billy dies here, we'll be moving it on. Oh, I'll just go through there. Maybe when Billy dies, Billy will go and play some Donkey Kong. Who knows? I think it would be better than this. I won't be playing some Donkey Kong. But but Billy might be. Yes. That is one thing you could call this mode. Double Dragon 3, the kidney stone. Double Dragon 3, stone me please. I have no idea. Yes, you do like your Zebo, don't you, Rockman? Right. Billy's dead. And you notice there's no proper scoring system either. Oh yeah, I get the bonus character I bought now. Because when you lose your character, you get to play as another character. Now I just wish I hadn't bought the other character. Oh, but Rockman, the problem is, this isn't over yet, is it? We all know the Double Dragon 3 isn't over yet. Because these streams aren't just the games, they're other interesting things that you might not have considered. It's just take me out. There we go. No. Now, I say, there's no proper scoring system at all. So, you put yourself with all this, and you don't get to score any points. There's no real point to the game, other than trying to finish it. And you're not going to want to do that. So, yeah. Now, there was a Japanese release. So, we're still playing Double Dragon 3. But, the Japanese release. The Japanese release is marginally less bad. Look, you can pick from all 4 of the characters at the start.
Mission 1.
You couldn't do that in the other version. There's no shop. You don't have to go to the shop. So yeah, they have changed. So the microtransaction thing that was sort of making such a mess of the US version, at least isn't forced on you in the same way here as it is in that one. So yeah, this version is still a terrible game. It's still got terrible laggy controls, terrible animations, terrible unfair hit. Oh, it's not really much better, is it? It's not got the horrible, you know, shop all the time, everywhere's a shop, microtransaction thing. Good afternoon, Christian. Welcome to me playing some bad games. In this case, Double Dragon 3. Now, I put the Japanese version on now because it's slightly more tolerable. Because it does skip a lot of the nonsense. I guess they knew Japan wasn't going to tolerate the whole buying thing. You can't do the right attack with this character, so how do I actually take these off the bike with this character? What? I don't know. Oh, I can do that. Thank you, Arnie Viking, for subscribing. Welcome. If you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. And hey, Johnny Bond. You can do the hurricane kick. I can do something. I don't know. I can do that. I can slam. Okay. There we go. But yeah, this Japanese version, like I say, this one is not as bad. It's just still not good. But if you really want to play Double Dragon 3, make sure you play the Japanese version. Your pain level will be halved. Yeah, I mean, these technologies, I've got a lot of very average games, but this one is just... It's just bad, isn't it? I mean, they did, what was it, Silent Dragon? That's not terrible, just a bit slow. And they did Gigantes, which is playable and a bit different. It's the original concept for a shooter. And they did this. I mean, Athena, the puzzly game I played on another stream, is actually really good. You know, that's got Namco. That's like a Namco quality puzzle game they did. So how did this become such a mess? And who decided to go with this whole microtransaction idea? Anyway, but this version is clearly not designed to take quite so much of your money. It starts you with more reasonable health. Doesn't have the shops. I mean, it's still not good. But yeah, okay. 125 minutes. I think after I've got a little bit further on this, we will be moving on because, again, I think you've seen everything you need to see of this game. Again, the enemies take far too long to kill. The only downside of the Japanese version is you can't read the text unless you know Japanese. But again, you see the shop isn't a shop on this version. You don't have to buy anything. You just start. You get more health. I think you can just pick up the weapons off the floor there as well. So you don't have to buy them. Look, there you go. Without buying them, I have the weapon. Anyway, that is Double Dragon 3, the Japanese version. Yeah, the Japanese version is more playable, but I still wouldn't recommend playing it. Right. Doesn't get any better. This is Number Crash by Hanshin Goraku, aka Peni. And in some of the ROMs, this developer is credited as Penny Soft. Not this one. I think it's like one of the card games, gambling games. Has it as Penny Soft. So, what is this? Well, I guess you'd call it a single screen platformer from 1983. I don't know if it's possible, Cow. I've never tried. I don't really try and run the Laserdisc games, to be honest. The secret get run over by bike technique. Yes, that was what I was trying to do. Right, so what to do in this game? Let's coin it up, and it tells you it's one player only, so only one player. You kick numbers around. That freezes people. And the power bar there is how hard you're going to kick something. So if it's a maximum, you kick it further. I think you kick all the numbers to the bottom. Pardon me. I don't understand why this game exists. But yeah, okay, I want to be kicked, so I get the red bot. Put it on maximum red bot. There we go. Oh, I fell into somebody. So Ginger Beardy Man fell into an enemy. I don't know if you have to get the enemies in, the numbers in order or anything. Oh, that's like again. So, as you can see, this is, you know, a fantastic single-screen platformer that's right up there with Burger Time and Bubble Bobble, and has little gaps in platforms. Yeah, if you're close to a number, you'll jump over it. You can't walk through the numbers, and sometimes you'll kick them backwards. And don't ask me. It's got quite a nice little tune again. But you want to finish your Z80 to play this game. I mean, oh yeah, you have to get the power right so they fall down the platforms, otherwise you kick them across the platform, because that's such a good mechanic. So I want that to go down, I have to use a little bit of power. Oh crap, I fell down. Didn't mean to do that. can kick the number over. Maybe that's exactly what it is, Mo. Hey Marcelo, thank you for joining. Apparently this game thinks that will see me again. I guess in this case it is correct. I will be playing it again. You know, I'm basically required to play it again to fulfill the requirement of playing bad games on stream. Oh. Now, needless to say, this is on Pac-Man type hardware. Yeah, they fall super slowly. I mean, it's quite good they fall super slowly because it means you've got time to move out the way. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this was still got Pac-Man code under the hood or something like that. I'm doing worse this time than last time. I can assure you, at some point in my life, I have completed the first level of this game. I cannot remember how. Maybe if I do that. No, whatever. I can run past them, can't I? Maybe if I start at the top, maybe that's the strategy. Start at the top and work your way down. Now there's also a time limit to contend with, as you've probably seen. Just in case, you know, you didn't think it was difficult enough to do what you want to do. I don't even know how to get that one now. Maybe I can't. Maybe I've broken the level. Everybody sending me hugs from everybody who liked the old arcade. Brazil's got quite a lot of arcade fans, from what I can tell, Marcelo. There's quite a big community of Brazilian MAME users. Oh yeah, I'm going to use my get to the top strategy. So yeah, this is quite a rare game. I'm guessing it's rare because it's not very good. I'm kicking them too far. Okay. Has anybody played this before? Has anybody thought that anybody liked this? Kick that. Anybody ever dream of a game where they just have to kick numbers around and that's all they have to do? Anybody remotely think this is a good idea? Oh dear. Let's try and... Oh, if you put the numbers together, you can't kick them. I forgot that. That's another wonderful piece of game design we've got going on here. So let's get back to the top. Oh dear. I mean, it could be worse. There could be fall damage. I mean, I have to say there's no fall damage. If there was fall damage, this would be unplayable. Oh, yeah, that's... I always forget, because you can't jump when you want to jump, from what I can tell. Where on earth did I put that? Or maybe you can. Or maybe you can't. Oh, you can. Oh, okay, you can wrap around the screen. I did not know you could wrap around the screen. That is not much use, but better than not being able to wrap around the screen, I guess. Hey Morphroot, welcome to the stream. Welcome to me torturing myself with bad games. I hope you like bad games because that's what tonight is all about. And this one is especially bad. Now I've got some bird thing chasing me that I don't know what it is. Oh, apparently it's not a bad thing. Or is it a bad thing? I don't know. Never touch this one, Stephen. No, I don't blame you. I mean, I'm surprised anybody anybody has. Yes, it's on the Pac-Man driver. So if you emulate Pac-Man hardware, you can potentially have this thing in your emulator, which I'm sure is a real big motivator. Can I give myself more lives? More lives help. I can give myself an extra life. Okay, and I've got 4 lives. Now I might stand more of a chance of actually completing a screen. I don't know if you have to get all the letters down, or if you just have to fill up the red area, or if the red filling... I can't remember much about this game, if we're quite honest. The most annoying thing is having to keep looking at the power bar to know how... So you can jump at the edge of a platform if you want to, okay. But only at the edge of a platform. You can't jump at any other time unless you're pushing against a number. And even then... See, I'm just replacing the numbers if I put them on top of each other. I can put a number there. Let's leave the 69 where it is. So, I'm sure everybody's going to stick around for the remainder of this stream because I'm playing such compelling games today. I wonder if I'll end up with 0 viewers at some point. Would not surprise me. I mean, I don't think I'd blame anybody if they just said, no, these are too bad. I can't stand it. It hurts. The enemies don't seem to have much mind of their own. They're sort of all following the same pattern, which is to follow me. But nothing in this game is explained. I mean, why am I kicking numbers around? There's surely got to be some explanation for this. So that's a nice little combo on the enemies there, look. It's not even told me I've got to make a specific number or... You know, you'd think it was an educational game by, you know, the fact it's just using numbers for everything. But it's not an educational game. I want to kick the number, not jump over the number. Haha, have a number dropping on your head. I'm sure that's how you always wanted to die. No, don't pick me. Yeah, the music's okay. I think the music's the only thing that's keeping me playing Wolfaz. I mean, if the music was as bad as the sound in one of the games I'm going to look at later, I'd probably have turned this off a long ago. But yeah, the music's quite jolly. I have to say, you are quite right in what you say there. It's got decent music. I'm not going to say it's got good music. It's got music that is tolerable. And the music just stopped. You know, we said, oh, just mentioning the music, and now the music has stopped. What? Why is the music stopped? That makes no sense. I got all the numbers to the bottom, and I win the level. The animation is... Yeah, they probably take it straight from Pac-Man, so... I guess I get a bonus depending on the order I have the numbers in. This is the most confusing bonus screen ever. 10-point bonus. So if I'd got 99887766, it just have different levels. You see, it's not just the same level again. It's even got a different piece of music here. But yeah, I don't think we can pretend it's a good game. I think we have to just acknowledge it's kind of bad. It's very frustrating to play. Yes, I think so. I think it must be like a single person developed it, probably as a conversion for Pac-Man or something. Oh, you do have fall damage, maybe, if you fall that far. I said the game was good because it didn't have fall damage. Apparently, it's just the first level doesn't let you fall anywhere far enough to have fall damage. I do need a lot of patience to play this one. And hey, Santeri, thank you for joining. I just noticed you dropped a message up there. It's Number Wang. I mean, yeah, you've always, I'm sure everybody's dreamed of just kicking numbers around. So, who's going to port this to another computer? When are we going to get a ZX Spectrum port of this, or an Amstrad CPC port of this fantastic piece of software? You know you want to. Wow, even that drop kills you. Okay. I suddenly like the game even less. I genuinely didn't think it had fall damage, and now I've realised it does have fall damage. So, yeah, one of the only things, one of the only saving graces of the game is no longer a saving grace of the game. Desert Dan isn't in today's schedule, Wolfaz. I mean, I don't think Desert Dan's really a bad game. It's a bit generic, but it's got a nice long name. Look. Desert Dan seems to be perfectly playable. So yes, number crash. I doubt Twin Galaxies has a record if it's anything at least one outside of MAME. I don't think anybody would have played this or remember this from back in the day. Bonus play at 000. Oh yeah, that's because it fills it in later. It's confusing like that. The little guy fills in the bonus credit and the one credit. I forgot that. So it's a bit like Space Invaders where it swaps the letter around on the title screen. Anyway, that is Number Crash. I don't think I need to play much more of that. No, let's go with another one of the ones that was on the preview. This is by Home Data. Remember the game with the puppets? Last Apostle Puppet Show? Well, this is the same developer. This is on the same hardware. This is hardware that does not have sprites. This is like 4 tile maps. They tried to do another fighting game on that hardware. I mean, yeah, I'm still not entirely sure what you're doing, Pac-Man. Do you just put the money in the wheel arrow? Because that's all I've ever done in Pac-Man. I've never tried to play Pac-Man properly, Santari. David, this week's episode is more looking at arcade games. I will be looking at home systems probably in part 2. So yes, this is home data. This is a game without any kind of sprites. If we look at the tile map viewer, you see that person's on that tile map there. The background's on that tile map. That's the game over message, and the other person's on that tile map. So yeah. Yes, this is quite bad. Thank you for watching this broadcast.
And the first opponent is ranking number 6.
That looks like it meant to be a wrestling presentation. And now it's... Yeah, no sprites, so all the enemies are on the same tile map. You're on a different tile map. No sprites at all, no. Everything is a tile map. I mean, the hardware is really designed for playing Mahjong games. But for some reason, Home Data decided to make a few fighting games. I mean, Last Apostle Puppet Show actually plays okay once you get used to it. This, I think, is much, much worse. And not ambitious. It's not got, like, the interesting digitized graphics. It's just trying to be a game that's completely unsuitable for the hardware. Without actually doing anything new. It's very much unresponsive. I mean, say, with Double Dragon, the hardware did have sprites, but this doesn't. And you can tell. I don't even know how you jump, to be honest. Yeah, the sound effects are very crunchy. Yes, they're more gunshots than hit attacks, aren't they? I would agree. Okay, I think up and the third button is jump. And you can flip over people like that, look. The way everything explodes as well is silly. I've gone up there. I escaped the arena. And we have quite the crowd in the audience. Take helicopter. Yeah, I took the helicopter when I could. I mean, the controls are so unresponsive, it was not easy to take the helicopter. So yeah, this is Battlecry by Home Data anyway. It's from 91, I think. It's ridiculously late for how bad it is too. I mean, you know, games like Final Fight have been out for a while at this point. Yeah, you didn't really get a chance to get dressed, did he? Continue. Okay, I'll continue. And a lot of these pre-Street Fighter 2 fighters were bad. You know, ones that were before the formula had been nailed down. As I said, this is from the 90s, I believe. It's trying to do all sorts of special attacks. But I mean, you do have probably a decent variety of moves if you can work out how to pull them off. So close. Tattoo Assassins isn't bad. Tattoo Assassins is a pretty good game, Carlo. But I am determined to beat this character. But I mean, I guess this feels like it could be influenced by Yara Kung Fu, but Yara Kung Fu is obviously a far better game. Again, Yara Kung Fu came out a lot earlier than this. I thought I blocked. This is actually painful to play. In some situations, the buttons do what you think, but most of the time they don't. I can jump backwards at this, but I can't seem to jump forward anymore. So, ground kicks don't do much damage, clearly. Turn around. No. And this came out after Puppet Show as well. Let's say 1991. That is just one of many reasons this ends up in the bad game list. Even when I see the move coming, see, now I can do the forward jump, which I couldn't do a minute ago. I can't do the back jump anymore. So I think I must have there must be I must be changing my stance somehow, and it affects what moves I can do. I really don't know. That ground attack gets me every time. Well, I don't. Home Data really did Mahjong games, and I don't think they did much after about 91 anyway, so this could easily have been one of their last games, if not their last game, so... they probably didn't get away with releasing this. The confusing thing is there are quite a lot of software revisions of it too, so... It didn't just get released, it got released and bug fixes updated issued for it. Pardon. Every time. Yep, this is apparently revision E. And I think there's like a revision D and a prototype version in MAME. So yeah, apparently some arcade operators had this installed and actually updated the software. I mean, maybe they were hoping it would become a good game. It's never going to happen though, was it? Can't jump out the way there. My strategy is just to run towards her and kick her. Apparently works better than actually just trying to do any moves. Yes, Earl Division C. So yeah, we're probably missing A, B, and D. Now your ranking is 6th. I get bonus points based on the attacks I used. The death dealer has been in this sewer, clearly. I mean, maybe we'll see some mutant turtles in a minute, who knows. I like how the explosions are on the same tile map as the credits, so they destroy the credit text momentarily. By like, I mean it's funny. Traitor. Here's my way out of here, if I can get it. Rescue me from this game. I mean, this has to be so specific to get... There we go. Haha. I'm out of here. And now we get to fight this person in the same arena we just came from. I'd rather be playing Number Crash again. Or Rise of the Robots. Oh, they changed the name, did they, in '93? But yeah, I mean, say at least in the Last Apostle Puppet Show was trying to be something different. This doesn't have any of that charm. It's just an unplayable mess. When your hardware can't do sprites, why make a game that really requires sprites? I'm just charging into you again. Unfortunately, it doesn't work as well against this enemy. Well, the pick's not dumped on the Cadillacs and Dinosaur bootleg because it's protected. All through. I mean, we can't dump the pics if they're protected. The guy's head is very small. Yeah, the opposition just have a very small head. You are right there. So many original Street Fighter vibes. Again, this came after the original Street Fighter, though. It also doesn't really know if it wants to be a one-on-one fight or a beat-em-up. If you see the sections between these fights, that you're fighting multiple enemies. Again, not actually trying to do any moves seems to be the most effective strategy there. I was 6th before, now I'm 5th, so I guess that means there's another 5 rounds or so. Oh look. Now we can walk along. Beat more people. So I do have a whole range of moves, but I'm just using sidekick because it works more often than the others. There we go, let's do a tornado attack. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. Oh, okay. You can get knocked off the ladder. Fair enough. I mean, not fair enough, but there we go. Yes, the scrolling is just as bad as everything else. I mean, it can... I don't think... Can it scroll? Or does it have to move in tiles? I can't remember. I think we might have seen enough of this. I mean, we've gone over an hour mark. I think that, yeah, I don't want to play any more of Battlecry by home data. It's a little bit painful to play. Shall I get one of the other ones that's on the preview range out the way? If you thought that was inexcusable for 1991, we have Ping Pong Masters 93 by Electronic Devices of Italy. Now, I don't know if this is by Electronic Devices or if it's a Korean game, because we have seen a Korean version for sale. This one's on 2Z80s. Yeah, I can't remember if the hardware can scroll. I know it's got like a blitter to help accelerate tile copies, but I don't know. Testing memory. Test IO ports. So, 1993. It's right there in the bottom corner. This is the game. This is the game. The ball is really flickery. It's got one thing to move around apart from the players, and it flickers. The CRT filter is the only thing that's making the ball not look quite so ridiculously flickery. Your movement is terrible. Everything looks terrible. And it's like, this is 1993. I think Pong played a better game of table tennis than this does. This is really pushing the boundaries of what could be done in 93, isn't it? It does sound like a bubble popping, yes. You're correct, Super Volteca. Now, this is one I worked on the emulation of when it was dumped. It was when we picked up a whole bunch of uncommon Italian PCBs many years ago, and this was one of them. Yeah, sometimes you just want to move and you just reach your arm out instead. It does say the second button can be used for spins and stuff, and I don't really know how that works. Yes, there are definitely better table tennis games on most things. I mean, why would you want to put money into this? The second button is mapped, yeah. Even the third button, apparently there's a third button, I don't know. I think it must be one of those where the test mode shows 3 buttons. Oh no, so yeah, I can spin. That's the only time you can change it there, apparently. So you can choose your shot type on service. But I can't really tell the difference. Yeah, nobody asked for this. I mean, imagine if you're an arcade and you bought this and you were replacing, say, a Konami Ping Pong, or even something like Speed Spin, and you got this thinking it's a brand new table tennis game from 1993, and yeah. I mean, there are good table tennis games, and there's this. Table Tennis Champions is a pretty good one. But yeah, there's not even any proper music in game. It's just these very basic sound effects. So I can spin or curve. It doesn't seem to make any difference. Yep. So I've not got much else to say about this game. I mean, this is literally the game. And now I can try again. It's thrilling. It's the best table tennis game ever. I better continue because, well, I did kind of promise myself that I'd try and play each game for about 10 minutes or minimum. But I said the problem is I can't even keep you entertained by talking about this game. It's uninteresting hardware. It's got two Z80s. I think one of them's for the sound. One of them's for the game. I think it also lacks sprites, from what I remember. Yeah, it's two tile maps: the background and the players, and the ball's on the player tile map. I say ball; it's like 4 pixels. Yeah, I mean, they might have got rid of a final lap to replace it with this. How tragic would that be? Maybe there was extra sound effects. Maybe they should have made this voice control so you had to have to go hit the ball. That would have been more innovative. Don't clip anything. This is not Twitch. The AI catch-up logic so obvious as well. It'll let you get a few points ahead, and then it will insist on hitting every shot you aim in that direction. Well, so you can move backwards if there's any point to doing that. To me, it just seems a bit pointless to stand there. But if you just want to back away from the table, you can. And then you can go forward. And then you can miss the ball. And look how robotic everybody at the top looks. They're very square. Everybody's very square. Right angles. Don't look comfortable. Balls of Fury, except all the ball sounds will replace some sound effects from this game. I don't seem to have any real control over where the ball goes either, from what I can tell, or I just don't understand it. Now, for a long time I did wonder if this might just be one of those games that had a hidden gambling game. Sorry excuse for a game because it's not meant to be played, but there doesn't appear to be any form of gambling game hidden away in this one. It's not one of those. It just appears somebody thought this was a game worth putting into arcades. Everybody probably is the same person. It's probably clone table tennis. Maybe all the champions are just clones of each other. See, it's not letting me score now. It's gone auto catch-up logic on me. Now it'll let the computer win, probably. Yep. So, no. No, we will not be playing any more of Ping Pong Bastards 93. I don't know why any arcade would want that. Okay. So, potentially more controversial choice here. This is one I've been working on recently. And this is Rock Climber by Taito. Now, this has been in MAME for a good 10, 15 years, and the sprites have always used the wrong tiles, so it's been a bit of a mess. However, I think it's quite clear why nobody cares about this game. This was released in 1981 by Taito. It's basically a rip-off of Crazy Climber. Crazy Climber was an Ichibutsu game from 1980. It used dual joysticks for climbing. This used dual joysticks for climbing. In Crazy Climber, you climb a building. In this, you climb a mountain. It's on a Galaxian Mooncrested derived piece of hardware with an extra tile map for the background. I have swapped the controls, so up and down are swapped. But this isn't Taito quality, this is bootleg quality. And the first thing you notice is the sound. It's just using the discrete Mooncrested type sound, which makes it sound like a bootleg. You do the shot sound for your movement. But, we can waggle the stick to climb and go across. Now, I don't know if the sprite colours are correct. I've got no references whatsoever for them, apart from the player sprite, which I know is correct. But some of them look really odd. I don't know if maybe there's the sprite sprite colour prom is bad, but they definitely look very ugly in places. Let's move out of the way of the bear. Ugh. It sounds like a Tiger LCD game because it's just the Galaxian discrete sound hardware, and it doesn't fit the game at all. It's like this is why it sounds like a bootleg. It sounds like a bootleg conversion of the game. You got all these conversions to Galaxian hardware, Pac-Man and stuff, and they had this awful sound because this sound is really just designed for space shooters. I mean, that's what it's pretty much the limits of what you can do and have it still sound okay with the sound system. Now, I did get to the top of this mountain in practice earlier. But I'm not going to get to show the fixed sprites. Now, it seems to... The enemies seem to home in on you, so it can be quite tricky. Apparently you can catch the monkeys. I've never managed to do that. No, this is legitimately a Taito game. There are flies for it and everything that show the ugly player colour, the board. It is a legitimate Taito game. I just can't explain why it exists. Why Taito would basically just rip off a more popular game. I mean, Taito were one of the more innovative developers. They're not a developer known for ripping everybody off, but this is just a Crazy Climber rip-off on a mountain. Again, that's not the sound a bird would make. You see, but you can get to the lower peak. You get up here. That's a log, by the way. Now, this is why I really don't think the sprite colours can be correct, because pink logs that you can't avoid because you're already there. But at the same time, those are the colours that are in the colour prom we've got, and it's just using the Galaxian style colour mapping. There's no extra bits being used. Hey the Ogre, you've missed Double Dragon 3, Battlecry, Ping Pong Masters 93, probably some of us, I can't remember. And now we're on to Rock Climber, which is just Taito ripping off Crazy Climber. But using... Well, I mean, Taito didn't really do much on Galaxian type rip-off hardware, knockoff hardware anyway. I think Frogs and Spiders might be similar, but if you collect the Taito flags, you do get a big bonus at the end of the level, but yeah, this was one I've fixed a bug in the last few days. Actually making the sprites render correctly, because a lot of the sprite tiles were just rendering as just blank tiles before, because the banking wasn't implemented, or wasn't implemented properly. So that bird there would just be a white tile in previous MAME versions, and now it actually renders as a bird, so that's an improvement. And the snake as well, the snake didn't render correctly at all. The snake rendered as a parachute. Now, the other thing you'll notice is the trees block your progress up the screen. The trees do not block the enemy. The enemy can go through all the trees, everything else. They do not apply to the enemy. Now, that bear's white. Again, that is the correct sprite. It's specifically selecting the bear there. But for some reason, they wanted a white bear as well. Assuming, you know, the problem is good. Avoid the log. Let's get my bonus points there. It's just, I say Taito just known for sort of creative games and using good hardware and having great sound design, and then there's this. I mean, I can see why nobody's put in the effort to fixing the sprite bug over the years. It's been in MAME. Because I think everybody just picks it up, plays it a little bit, and scrolling back to where you were in the level takes forever like that. Controlling it is horrible. Yeah, I don't say I don't know about the sprite colours. I mean, looking at the code, looking at the colours in the ROM, that's what it's telling it to do. Oh, that's the sun, by the way. The sun attacks you in this game. The sun throws fire at you, because that's exactly what the sun does. The sun has eyes, a creepy mouth, and throws fire at you. Uh-oh. No, it's but according to the flyer, that is the sun. I mean, they must be solar flares. I don't know what that. Oh. Yeah, if you're not in the right place there, you just fall off, don't you? I mean, Crazy Climber was, you know, an original novel concept, and I guess maybe Taito wanted to do something similar when they saw how popular it was, but... Yeah, this is pretty bad for a Taito game. It feels very prototypey, but it's not. It got released from what we can tell. And there's the awkward silence when it's scrolling you back up the mountain here as well. It doesn't even scroll you to the right place. It then just goes, oh yeah, you're not where I scrolled you to, so forget that. Anyway, let's try again. I don't think Quartet is broken. I think Sega intentionally swapped the buttons between the two versions, Bob. Also, sorry if I missed anyone in the chat. As usual, I'm trying to play the games and not very good at multitasking. I just realised, you know, looking at... yeah, the tropical monkeys on the mountains are a real problem, Wolfaz. Now, I do want to beat the mountain. Apparently you can catch the monkeys or something, but the monkeys sometimes steal the flag, so maybe you can catch a monkey if they've stolen the flag. But the actual monkeys don't kill you. The water does, though. Don't hydrate on a mountain, it will kill you. Life tip. Now, I might just try and make a beeline up the mountain this time. Not that it's... See, that monkey'd stolen the flag. But I've never managed to catch a monkey with a stolen flag, so I don't really know if you can. If you're too close to the trees, you can't do anything, so you have to move back again. Again, the bear doesn't care about the trees. The bear just goes wherever the bear wants. Which I guess is a bear thing to do. So you can miss going to the other peaks, because there's 3 peaks on each mountain. And if you just bypass them, you can just go straight to the top. Which... There we go. I got to the top of the mountain. Yes, they can't bear the game anymore, can they? And then you get to parachute down, which is, you know, the controls are unresponsive here. You can hit right lots of times, it does nothing. And this is, again, it's like the Moon's Crest docking sequence, but it's really slow. And then you go fast. But there's nothing to avoid on the way down. So what's the point in this? And the screen loops anyway, so it doesn't matter what you do at this point. You'll be once at some point the HUD will appear at the bottom. Okay, now it's gone really slow. Now it's gone faster. Now it's gone slow. There's the HUD. So yeah, and again, it's not very precise. I did manage to land on this earlier, but there we go. The purple log things are meant to be logs. It's a log graphic. It does say on the flyer you avoid logs, and that is the log graphic. I mean, I would have expected them to be brown, not purple, but again, the colours in the ROM are purple. The brown colours are only used for the background. There's 2 different colour prompts. One's for the background, one's for the sprites. And the sprite ones don't contain any brown. If we look at the colour view, the first set of colours repeat twice, the background colours. Then you've got the sprite colours, and none of those really fit the logs. I mean... these are your choices. So the log is... where's the log? The log is 5859. So the log is... I've got a mouse. There we go. The log is these 2. So that would maybe be an okay palette, but not great. But the one it picks is pink, I think. Is that one? I don't remember. Anyway, none of those colours look really very good for logs, to be honest. Oh no, that's just the F4 menu, David. Any game that's got tile decoding and palette setup will work in the F4 menu. Although not every game does. I mean, things like Space Invaders hardware don't use tiles, so they don't. But this one has a tile viewer. Sometimes the tile viewers won't be very usable, or the default colours won't be visible. I'm going to move this to the newer Galaxian driver at some point, and then it'll probably be a bit stretched, because the newer Galaxian driver stretches everything so it can render starfields if necessary. But no. There aren't any Great Bear colours either, no. But we do know the player sprite is the correct colour from the flyer. But I don't know why the monkeys are green, because the other monkey palette, when they've got the flag, has them yellow, which you'd expect. Yeah, it's F4. Bob. Hey VidPro, still better than BioAttack, you say. BioAttack wasn't on my list. Maybe BioAttack's one I'll have to consider for a second part. I'm just going to... I'm going to pause this, actually. I might have another go at it, but I'm just going to have a quick look through the chat. See if there's anything I missed. Did I say hi to Costado? I don't know if I did, but hi Costado if I did not. Welcome, I hope you're doing well. Okay. So... so some of these things that are out of context don't make much sense now. What are we doing? What were we doing? Sorry, just looking through the chat. I don't think I've missed too much. Have I? If anybody said anything that they would like me to respond to, drop it in the chat again, because there's quite a lot of chat here. And this is now just an awkward silence while I try and scroll through and look at things. Okay, I don't think there's anything I urgently need to reply to. So, anyway, okay, right. Yeah, let's not give Rock Climber another go, because I think you've seen enough of Rock Climber. Now, I'm just about at my wits' end with these games, so let's play Wits, which is for use in Japan only. It is quite chatty, or people are just, chatting away to avoid having to watch the bad games, which is also, a thing that could be happening. So this is called Wits. It's got sumos and things on the title screen. It's got a train that goes by. The rock climb is over for now. Maybe I'll put it back on later. I'm not putting it back on later. So it's got a jump button. This is basically the Tron Light Cycles game, but called Wits, and it's like super ugly. Also, the AI is really bad on the first few levels. It's light cycles thing. You just, you close off the opposition so they can't do anything. If they crash into their own tail or wall, or your wall, they die. But yeah, you can jump in this one, so you can jump. You can jump over your wall, which you can't do in regular Tron Light Cycles. So there you go. It has some original gameplay element. But again, the problem is this was released in '89. I think by '89 the world had moved on a little bit. It is indeed R09. It is indeed. This is a very low effort SETA hardware game. Oh, I've not tried that one, Bob. The Tomy Tron handheld. Oops, I was reading the chat. I might have to have a look at that one. I didn't know there was a handheld version of Light Cycles. Yeah, basically, yeah, this type of game is more what you expect in the 70s. As mentioned, you had, like, I think it's Barricade and Checkmate. I have no idea. I'm hoping it's a pink guy, not something else entirely. Oh, look, I died. I mean, does this count as nudity? I don't think the pink guy's wearing any clothes. But yeah, as long as you make the walls too thick, they can't jump over it. You could be blinded by nostalgia. No, again, I don't think this is going to be a game you would have seen in many arcades. I mean, maybe it was meant to remind people of the games from the 70s, like, say, Barricade and Checkmate and the like. Maybe it's one that they really intended to be played as two-player, but as far as I know, there aren't even any power-ups. This is just the whole game. You just repeat this again and again with different backgrounds, and the AI isn't even very good. At least not, on the earlier stages. Anyway, that is Wits. I don't think you have to play any more Wits. You've seen everything Wits has to offer. It's just that over and over and over and over again. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit with this next one because the arcade version isn't in MAME. Also, the non-arcade version really doesn't work well at all. Let's load up the Mega CD. Now, this game will load about 1 in 20 times to try and load it, or you just have to keep resetting. It's a good two-player game, because it's not a good one-player game, Malmanian. But yeah, maybe it's a two-player game it works. So a lot of the time you try and load Dragon's Lair on the Mega CD driver, it will just hang. If you keep resetting, eventually it'll load. I created a save state of it when it actually loaded. So yeah, this is the Mega Drive, Mega CD port of the game. So, now, I still think this is probably one of the worst arcade games ever, and the port, you know, the Mega Drive, Mega CD port is the same game, just with slightly worse graphics, which kind of just highlights how bad the actual gameplay is. But, I know a lot of people like this one, but I just can't understand it. Anyway, let's press start. Right, so now jump you straight in. So what do you do? Okay. Oh, what was going to? Okay, and then you die. 4 lives left. So okay, I obviously have to press something. Do I press a button? Do I try not to fall in the hole? No, I can't not fall in the hole. They're on the right. So I press right to kick. No, that doesn't work. Doesn't prompt you when to press anything. Okay, so don't press right or don't do anything. If I press attack, oh, not that attack one, probably a different one. Yeah, maybe I can press up to climb up the hole. Up. No, that's not right. Maybe I press, you know, the other button. Oh, attack! Oh, attack! Hey, look, I attacked them. No, I'll kick them. Oh no, they still got me. And oh look, it's game over. It is a terrible game. So, you know, you just have to learn what to do by trial and error. It's like, I know attack triggers something else. Now, down, do I kick it? No. If I'm trying to do games that were in the arcade direct this time, so this one I'm only playing Mega CD version because we don't emulate the arcade. See, even when I know I've got to press up there, it's... So attack. They've done attack. Now up, get out. No, what? Timing must be wrong. It doesn't tell you when you got to time anything. I don't think Technoparrot's doing a good job of dumping 3D games at all. I think they're just hacking them up and not preserving the proper images. They're going to create a right mess that we can't fix later. Now, another scene. Okay, I've got past that scene. 3 doors. Left. Oh, left? Left? No, right? No, okay. I died again. Because you don't really control anything in this game. You have no direct control over the character. You're just trying to press buttons, guess what to press at the right time, and repeating over and over. I mean, I can see the novelty of the fun death animations. And, you know, if this was like a super cheap game to play, like 2p a credit, it would be fine. It's just a almost forgettable experience. But it's not. It was one of the most expensive games to play. Now, what we got here? Okay. Oh, okay. Drink me. Okay, up. Alice in Wonderland. Oh no, insta-death. No way of knowing that. Just insta-death. Unless you've done that before, you've lost a life. So I press right, because that just actually flash. It's like a prompt. For once there's a prompt. This is a terrible, terrible game. Okay. This is probably the worst arcade game ever made. I think this is worse than Ping Pong Masters. I press attack. Okay, now I press down. No, what? Right? No, up. What? 8. I think I did the right thing by pressing attack here. The door flashes. Do I press up now? The door's flashing. No? Was that not up? Was that right? I don't like quick time event games at the best of times, and they prompt you. Even with those, it feels like you never have real control over the action. So that's a right, not a. I don't get it either. See, these games were meant to be the saviour of arcades, the thing that took them to the next level. But I pressed right. But they're the complete opposite of what good arcade games were. This offers no gameplay, no skill. No, it's just learn the sequence. And then I guess if you work out how to play it, how much gameplay do you actually get on a credit for a full playthrough? If you know what you're doing. Can't be very many minutes. So that's probably a down prompt, is it? I don't know. Yeah, Ping Pong Masters was a game. This is... I don't know. I don't know what I'd call this. The one reason I typically don't put it on, you know, my worst ever games list is because I struggle to even class it as a game. There's no real gameplay. Press the button. Yeah, I mean, some of the Laserdisc games where they're just using the Laserdisc as a background, it works. Because, you know, if you look at a lot of scrolling shooters, they really do just have a background that you don't interact with that much anyway. So having an FMV background isn't necessarily a bad thing. When the entire game is just quick-time events with no prompts, non-obvious inputs, and then when you think you know what you're doing, it doesn't work sometimes. It would have been a good game, though, Carlo. I mean, no part of this game is good. You know, the graphics don't make up for the complete lack of gameplay. This is the type of game that would put me off games for good if I thought this was the direction gaming was going. What now? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously got to work in the context of the platform it's on. I can't... That is just torture, I'm sorry. How... See, Stuart's reviews were sometimes pretty good, but yeah, Dragon's Lair is definitely not more interactive than Half-Life. Dragon's Lair is... well, I can't stand it. Sorry, I can't play it anymore. I'm just getting angry playing it. I don't like it. Right, next one. Maybe not the most obvious of choices to be putting on here, but... yeah, I don't like it, as I've said a few times. Now, I'm going to put on Bloody Wolf by Data East. This runs on modified... Well, it's not modified. It's a PC Engine-based arcade hardware, but not quite. It's got a few changes from the PC Engine system. This game was also released on the PC Engine. The PC Engine version came out a year later. And yes, that's my issue with Bloody Wolf Vid Pro. The arcade version here is just ridiculously choppy. Now, you can play the PC Engine version. The PC Engine version of this is really smooth. Really, really smooth. And it's, you know, animates at 60 frames a second. It's fully playable. This animates, you know, it feels like it's about 10 frames a second. It's slow, and I don't know why, because you know the PC Engine version, which the hardware's not all that different, is nice and smooth. But I mean, I know there's a few of these walk-along games with poor frame rates. I mean, when I was asking for suggestions for games to include on these streams, Konami's Jailbreak was thrown in the mix, and that's another one that's got a bit of a choppy frame rate. Not as choppy as this, though. But yeah, the arcade experience tends to be about smooth gameplay, not choppy, slow. You can't go in there, can you? I mean, there are definitely worse games, but this maybe just gets in the list because it's disappointing. Because, you know, this could have surely been much better. Because we've seen the PC Engine version, which is... Jailbreak is very rough around the edges. I say I don't dislike it. I'm not going to include it on here because technically it's a bit of a mess, Peter, but I say I don't dislike it. Also, welcome to the stream, Peter. If you've been here a while and I missed you, sorry, but it's always good to see you. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. And say also, Andy, I think that's the first thing I've seen you comment, so also welcome to you. I hope you're doing well as also. And actually, let me just pause and check up the chat a little bit. Scroll up the chat a little bit. Yeah, Johnny, that's the thing. Most FMV games do have prompts, and that makes them somewhat playable. Dragon's Lair didn't have prompts. The NES version of Dragon's Lair, I've not played that one. I do like what they did with the Amiga version of Dragon's Lair, where they did it all as animations rather than FMV. I still didn't like the game, but I like what they've done technically with that one. Okay, I don't seem to have missed anything too important or anybody. Hey Thomas, thank you for joining as well. Sorry, I've just seen you there as well. I have never played Kingdom of the Far Reaches from the creator of Dragon's Lair. No, I didn't. I've never heard of that one. I'm not playing Space Ace Custado. Yeah, I think that the PC Engine version has a few visual changes, but it's just so much smoother. And the most important thing is always the gameplay. I mean, smooth gameplay really helps in games like this. You've still got your sprite dropouts because of the sprite limits. But visually, kind of reminds me more of Midnight Resistance, although obviously Midnight Resistance plays rather differently. You can grenade up there, but again you've got slow. Flamethrower. That's an interesting thing to just say to me. So I now have a flamethrower. Continue. Now there are other games a bit like this that I was tempted to put on here. I mean, Sega System 18 Desert Breaker is definitely a bit of a mess, but I might save that one for another stream. Oh, that's actually a fence to climb up. It's not obvious until you get there. Then we get the submarine. Yeah, I tried playing Time Gal on the Sega CD and that was quite bad. Heavy Barrel is very choppy though, Carlo. That is one of the things about Heavy Barrel. I think that was the comparison. Yeah. Heavy Barrel's not too bad, but it is very, very choppy. Now, you know I'm usually a big fan of Data East games, so to me it's a shame this one turned out like this. And they do have, is it Thunder Assault, which is sort of this, but done a bit better for 4 players. Oh dear. Nope. Don't know if you can do that. Grenades don't reach, do they? No, I've not got much room to stand. No, nowhere to stand. I've not tried Time Girl on the Laser Active. I don't think anything emulates the Laser Active, does it? From what I remember, the Laser Active has actual 68K code stored on the laser discs for the games, so that would be kind of interesting. Oh, I've got a bike. This is exactly how bikes handle. Grenade. I would have one of those. Can't blow up the crate apparently, which is surprising for a game. I seem to remember it does. I seem to remember it loads parts of the code off the disc for the games. I can't remember where I read that, but I definitely remember reading it. That's what it does. Let's climb the tree. The key is in my pocket. With a priority issue with the bike. But that might not be a main bug. That might just be the game. I have a key that goes in my inventory. After I climbed a tree. Jumping bike. The bike's about to blow up. So I better get off. But yeah, this feels like a home game, and it is at home, but the home version came after it. And the home version was better. So that is why this one is on the list. Because it's just... You can't open the crate if you're on your foot. You can't... If you're on a motorcycle, you can't open the crate or do anything with it. But if you're standing up, you can. Okay. But, I mean, unless I'm wrong, David, I could be wrong, but I think I've seen an extract of some code that was dumped from one of the laser discs. I can't remember who posted it. It might have been one of the Domesday posts showed a disassembly of the code or something like that. I can't remember at this point. But there seemed to be a 68k binary, which obviously isn't in the BIOS. So I'm assuming it's on the laserdisc. Oh, okay. Now I can walk into the water. Didn't the water just kill me in the previous boss when I was fighting something else? But now apparently water's fine. Oh well. Again, we're seeing lots of just recycled enemies, the same death animations, the same... There's just pallets, more or less. We'll plough through a little bit more of this. But this is just a very dull game. I mean, it's playable. There's gameplay in here. But the frame rate's bad. It's repetitive. And there are just so many better games in this genre. I mean, you can play the original Commando and have a far better time. You can play Mercs and have a far better time. Shock Troopers. There's no real reason to play the arcade version of this. You can play the PC Engine version of this and have a better time. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Mac 3 does the same in the arcade, doesn't it? It stores the collision data, the enemy placement data on the audio track, from what I remember. So, you know, the positional data for the laserdisc is on the laserdisc, so that it knows where the targets are. So yeah, you did have data on the laserdisc as well as, you know, video. The submarine boss was in an acid lake. Yes, Bob, that is definitely what the case was. It was probably in one of those old mine sites where they filled it, you know, it's contaminated water, because that's exactly where you put submarines. Old quarry. Infrared scope. That doesn't sound useful in this game. Medicine. That sounds more useful. Yeah. I mean, it is home computer hardware, basically. It's derived from PC Engine hardware, but the PC Engine version is just much better. Attacking with knife is better than shooting a gun here. So it's changed me to a knife, just because it can. I don't know, I kind of think a gun would help here, because I'd be able to shoot the people on the bank. But, you know, I believe your game. I'm not even seeing any wolves yet. There seems to be a lack of wolves in this game for, you know, considering. Yeah, a gun would definitely help here. Or, you know, if I could just jump onto the... can't even grenade them. Oh dear me. Well, thank you, Rock. You got me off there. I've got my gun out again. And we're fighting the same enemies again, with the same backgrounds again, with the same... Anyway, that's Bloody Wolf. It's yeah, it's not great. It's not great at all, is it? Right. Shall I go with maybe a choice that not many people have experienced? Okay. Yeah. Okay. One of my personal dislikes, this one. Columns 2, The Voyage Through Time. Right, I love the Sega logo. It's really well presented. I like the title screen. It's attractive. Looks good. 1990. Same year as the original columns. It's got a new tile set, new graphics. They actually look quite good. I do like them. You know, so far this is looking like a pretty good game. I do like my puzzle games. But there is one really fatal flaw with this game, which we'll come to in a bit. And so, you know, let's speed through the track mode a bit. Got a nice high score table. Look, we've got all these different graphic themes. So let's credit it up. I can select flash columns or versus columns. Okay, what's flash columns? Oh, more new graphics. Okay, so... Okay, I get it. It's columns. If I clear this... Oh, I clear out the level. Oh, we've got the original columns graphics. Oh, now there's two flashing pieces. Okay, fair enough. Some new music. Doesn't really fit the game, but... So let's get rid of this. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Oh look, we can, if we get a blue at some point. There we go. Get rid of that and complete stage 2. Yeah, columns Flashpoint edition. Oh look, bonus stage. Well, I don't know what the bonus stage is, I failed it anyway. We get this theme again. But yeah, this is what I don't like. It's just flash columns. And I don't like flash columns. I like columns. I like the original columns game. And this doesn't have an original columns mode. And that's my problem with it. Had this given that option on the title screen there for columns or flash columns and let you play the original columns with the new graphics, I think I would have quite liked this. But flash columns isn't my idea of a fun puzzle game. I don't like Flashpoint, you know, the Tetris variation. But the fact they just called this Columns 2, they didn't call it Flash Columns, they called it Columns 2, and you expect it to be columns with a bit more to it. And it's not, it's Flash Columns. So unless you just happen to like Flash Columns, this isn't the game you want it to be. And, you know, after all the lovely presentation, and it's really well presented... And the thing is, with this type of columns game, the bits at the bottom, once at this point you know you've lost because they're miles away down the bottom. You're never going to recover. I mean, I end up using the school thing there that pushes that up and makes it even worse. It's not just about creating your matches, it's about having to get all the way down to where those specific pieces are and taking them out. And yeah, it's always split into the 2 play fields. And you know, okay, maybe versus you think, well, maybe versus columns is that it only takes a single credit to start versus columns. But you know, versus columns requires 2 players. There's no computer opposition. It requires 2 players. So you want to play the. You think, oh, you've got your regular columns mode, but then you're playing against the other person. So you can't just leave the player 2 doing nothing. You have to have a second player. And when it's only 1 credit to start, you might not have expected that. Another credit? Does it continue with just 1 player? No, it's straight back to a 2-player versus game. So essentially, I've wasted 2 credits finding out if I can play columns 2 in single player mode without it being flash columns. So I say the music really doesn't fit at all. I mean, could they not have just left an original columns mode in there? Would it have been that difficult? Because then I would have played it. You know, I would have gone, you know, I like columns. I appreciate the new graphics. I appreciate the choice of a flash columns mode that I'll play maybe once and decide I don't like flash columns. And I'll play the original columns. But an arcade would have likely swapped out the original columns machine for this, because this is the sequel. And so the arcade would suddenly no longer have a regular version of columns. You'd have this, which isn't fun. So I give it one more credit on flash columns. This game is a highly disappointing sequel that is missing the one thing you'd actually want to do. Yeah. And you can't even take your time and just try and ignore the flashing piece and play it like a regular game of columns in this mode, because it starts punishing you after a while. At least on the later levels, it does. It puts those, you know, those school tiles in. Don't know if it does on the first level, but. Again, I mean, a lot of people might not necessarily think this is a bad game if they like, you know, they like the flash columns variant, but I think objectively the fact that, yeah, it starts putting those in. So, you know, you can't just try and play this like a normal columns and ignore the flashing block. But I think objectively the lack of that option does make this a bad game. It's inexcusable. Especially as you know, it would not have been difficult to leave in. Wouldn't even surprise me if it's still hidden away somewhere in the code. Just not accessible. But I've never looked. Anyway. I think after this we'll have a look at Gang Wars, since I did put Gang Wars in there. I do really like the new tile set as well, and I think that just makes it even more painful that I can't play the game the way I'd actually want to play the game. I can't appreciate these tiles in a game I enjoy. Whereas, you know, Sega then also did Columns 97 on Saturn hardware with some of the ugliest graphics ever. No, I think that's just so you can see them dropping in, Bob. I doubt it's a priority glitch. And they could technically be using the Mega Drive sprite masking that doesn't always work, but I don't think they are. I think it's to give you the best chance of seeing what's dropping in the playfield. I mean, if I was designing the game, I would have done the same. No, I can say that's a good design choice, because you want as much time as possible to see what your piece is when it's dropping. Yeah, you wouldn't want style over substance forcing a priority to keep a look but making it less playable, because style over substance is never a good idea. Again, let's see, we've got a new theme here. We've got the space theme. There's no real ordering to the themes as far as I know. It just picks a random one each time. That's not quite what I wanted to do. It's called, I think it's called Voyage Through Time, isn't it? So each theme is meant to indicate sort of a different time period. So this is the Into the Future spacey theme. There we go. In columns 1 they are. I can't remember. This doesn't feel quite like it's meant to. I don't know. Didn't feel like it was giving me the correct piece I needed there somehow. But, I don't know. This is protected, but the protection is understood, so I don't think that's a protection thing. I think that's just... maybe the challenge was that I was meant to realise I just kept making little... I don't know. No, it's probably more the type of thing you notice when somebody else is playing. As long as it works for you when you're playing it, you're not going to mind too much. Have we seen this theme before? I think we've seen this theme before, haven't we? There aren't that many themes, but it's nice that they do rotate. But again, I'm clutching at straws, you know, saying the theming's nice. I think I'm just going to kill this off now. Yeah, the prehistoric dinosaur ones with the fossil, that one, wasn't it? We have seen that before. Okay, so we've gone past 2 hours, which means there's another hour of this left. I'm probably going to go with a slightly controversial choice for the next one. I looked at this one on the Star Wars theme stream. This is the Empire Strikes Back. Now, when I played this on the Star Wars themed stream, it did crash. That crash has since been fixed. It was a slapstick issue that actually regressed before the latest wave of slapstick changes, and nobody reported it. So I'm guessing that means not many people play The Empire Strikes Back. And you know what? After playing a bit, I don't blame them. This was available as an upgrade kit, you know, a conversion for the original Star Wars arcade game. And the original Star Wars arcade game is an all-time classic. A fantastic game. It's fast, it's smooth, it's enjoyable. It's obvious what you're meant to do. And it's got, you know, the various iconic scenes. This is none of those things. It's got good speech, but that's about it. Hey Game City, Victor. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. So one thing I noticed is look how much this slows down already. I did notice you can seemingly I'm not doing it so well this time. I did better on the game by just going around in circles. It's like, okay, you know, I don't want to do anything. Let's just go around in circles.
Use your harpoon and throw cable. Not the evacuation.
There we go. You see, I got into the tunnel section just by driving around in circles. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, You don't seem to have to actually kill anything or do anything in the first 2 scenes. You just have to survive, and there are ways to do it without engaging anything. Because I found this out when I was recording videos to try and crash the game. Because I just wanted to record, you know, the quickest replay that required me to do the least effort to get the game to crash. So I just worked out you can just fly around in circles most of the time and not do much. You do have to, you know, dodge a few things, but look how slow it gets. Especially, look, those just move so slowly, and then it's not clear what you're meant to do. I get this is a scene from the movie, but it doesn't really make for a great stage. Got a limited number of these cables, you just fire at these things. Then there's hardly anything of them left when they explode. You see, now I guess I'm just meant to turn away or something. Speaking on stuff. So the Rebel hideout. You think you're going to go into a tunnel and then suddenly you're in the sky? I don't know. Yeah, the voices are really good. But I don't like the game. It's going easy. It just feels like such a downgrade from the original game. And that... It just... They say the frame rate's one of the main issues. It's like they're trying to do too much. And then you've got this silly power thing that writes Jedi over there. I mean, that is a bit too intense in MAME. On the original hardware, that's more faded. I think the when you've got the shaders turned up so much, it doesn't really fade out as it should. But, ow. And then the perspective gets really strange as well as you fly past things.
Between ourselves, I think Master Luke is in considerable danger. The Force is with you.
Use the Swartz. Toko was gone, so I don't even know what.
Shield doors must be closed.
I think if you fly away from these things, it's better than doing anything else.
Prepare to make the Delta light speed. I want that ship, not excuses.
Yeah, it is worth playing for the sound, but that's again not a real reason to play a game. There's so many games you can say that about, though. So many games have fantastic soundtracks or fantastic sound effects, and just aren't good games. But I think if any arcade actually installed this after the hype of the original, after the hype of the movie, they'd probably be just putting it back to original Star Wars afterwards, because more people are going to want to play Star Wars, the original. Yes, I mean, I put this one in based on expectations, Stephen. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody, would have been really hyped for this game because Star Wars was so good. The movie was, a huge thing, and Atari expected to deliver with this. Especially with it being, another Vector game. Could have been one of the Swan Vector games. A great follow-up to the original Star Wars, but it just wasn't. Oh, thank you for Hackers for subscribing. Oh, unless you are actually a hacker, and that's maybe not such a good thing.
Shield doors must be closed.
Don't wish for my stream to be hacked. Shoot you in your glowy mouth. Oh, let's not.
Prepare to make the Delta light speed. I want that ship, not excuses. Well, Lord, I raised it way down.
But maybe they spent the entire budget on the sound. I don't know. Try again.
He could destroy us. May the force be with you.
Hard. But yeah.
There's a meteorite hit the ground near you.
I've discovered a weakness in the language filter. Possibly. I mean, to be fair, my t-shirt has discovered a weakness in the language filter. Although it is censored.
That's it. The riddles are there.
Yeah, I did think YouTube censored usernames actually, so I'm a bit surprised. But hey, or Twitch, or both of them. But
Go for the lake. It might be our only chance of stopping.
yeah.
Between ourselves, I think Master Luke is in considerable danger.
I think I am too. As you can see, the game no longer crashes, so I assume the slapstick stuff is all fixed now for this one. And that's one of the other reasons I wanted to play this one, because you know, you have to show off the fixes. And so we don't even know when this one did regress. We just found out, you know, we thought it probably regressed with the slapstick changes, and then we found out it hadn't worked for much longer. What's below the friendly rainbow? There you go. That's what's below the friendly rainbow.
You could destroy us. May the force be with you.
It has a star in it, you see, so it's not rude.
We picked up something outside the base. Droid of some kind.
Gang Wars, yeah, I was going to do Gang Wars. I forgot. I'll do that next.
General, prepare your troops for a surface attack. We have spotted Imperial walkers.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to fly away. What do you mean I can't fly away? I assume you just lose bonus points by flying away, something like that. But you really don't have to engage.
Start the evacuation. Prepare to make the jump to light speed.
Yes, it is a fact you shirt. Did you have a fact for today, Bob? I don't remember reading one out. But maybe I missed it.
Sir, we just lost the main bridge. Take the shield. I think we're in trouble.
Ah, Yu Suzuki's birthday. Ah, it got lost in the spam. Well, happy birthday, Yu Suzuki, then. That's a relevant one, I feel. I mean, I don't think we've got anything Yu Suzuki on stream, have we? We could do a bad Sega game though. Your first relevant fact. No, some of the facts are relevant, Bob. It's always good to have a fact. Okay, so yeah, Empire Strikes Back is not as good as Star Wars, and really disappointing considering what it should have been. But maybe it was just impossible to top Star Wars because Star Wars is such a good game. Anyway, Gang Wars. There's an undumped MCU apparently, but the protection is simulated. I think the protection just coinage and stuff on this one. I'm trying to do most of the arcades this time, Bob. Unless I can't play the arcade version like I did with Dragon's Lair. So for this one, I think we're going to have to not do ports of Hang On. Although there are plenty of bad ports of Space Harrier, Hang On, Outrun, all sorts of games. But so this is one of those beat 'em ups where everybody has very stiff-looking animations and odd punch attacks. Well, that's not really why I've put it on here. I just feel it controls really badly. Every time I've tried to play it, I've not enjoyed it. Enter your name at the start. No. Select one of the following types. It's not even showing you a character to associate with it. It's just select one of the types. A little girl was taken away by somebody unknown. this is the end of them. Kind of creepy. Apart from the ladder. Some ugly digitized graphics mixed in with the rest of the game. It's okay, but you get stuck moving in certain directions. It's weird. The controls are very strange. It like takes a while to change direction when you're moving. You know, if I change the direction, it continues in the direction it was going. I just don't like the way it controls. Yes, a very dried out Ernest face. Also, there's a laugh track, look. Now, yeah, there are worse games. We already saw Double Dragon. But who throws a rock like that? All the ravioli restaurant. Where's the ravioli restaurant? I want ravioli. See, I don't know if it's a protection issue with the controls, but they just feel so float. I mean, it's like you can only change direction in certain directions after half a second has passed. It's really odd. I can't explain it. It just feels bad. Yeah, that mix of digitized and drawn doesn't work for me either. It's like if you're moving forward, you can't move up and down quickly. You have to really play it to understand what I'm saying, I guess. And then if you change that, it continues diagonally for a second, it's... See, I'm moving. I pressed down. I pressed up. I pressed down. I only tap down and it moves an entire... halfway down the screen. Now ladders. Auto climb the ladder. The ladder's gone. Let's say the trajectory of all the objects when they fly around is nonsense. It feels like an Amiga game too, Ramses. I would agree with that. It does have that Euro game feel to it. There's a pause after you've jumped as well, where you can't seem to do anything properly. Sometimes. At least you can't attack immediately after a jump. Now this is one of those interesting games where there are graphical differences between the Japanese and other regions. Or at least the US region, where they've changed some sprites in the actual graphic ROMs. And for a long time, some of the sets in MAME were using the incorrect ROMs, so there were some corrupt tiles in later stages. So yeah, this is where you now share you add PowerPoints. That's why it wasn't associated with the character, but it doesn't really explain that early on. Even the punks are notoriously incompetent. Even the programmers are. Yeah, the animations are goofy. Maybe that's why it feels like an Amiga game. You do associate goofy animations with a lot of Amiga games. I mean, it's obviously, compared to Double Dragon 3, this is a fantastic game. But I still don't think it's very good. I could have picked worse. I could have picked Tough Turf. But I decided to go with this one. Tough Turf is the one that was suggested on Twitter. But I don't know, Tough Turf just feels dull. This feels goosey. That annoyed me there because I'd stopped pressing down, it still walked right off the edge. That's what I mean. Sometimes you feel like you're floating rather than moving where you're meant to go. Guardians of the Hood would also be a bad one. I might play Guardians of the Hood later on in the stream. I mean, I was thinking of maybe playing Knights of Valor 3 as well, because the whole card system just ruins that game. There's plenty of beat 'em ups to choose from, to be honest. Yeah, the ladder climbing just looks really out of place. It looks goofy like everything else in this game. Takedown attack. It just feel like the game has a laugh track as well. Toasty. Again, the controls. Now, if the controls are an emulation book, I will, you know, forgive the game. I don't think they are. Oh yeah, I mean, you'd happily play this, if the two offerings were Double Dragon 3 or this, you'd happily play this and use that flamethrower on the Double Dragon 3 arcade. Guardians of the Hood is legendarily bad. Pit Fighter, but without any of the bits that make Pit Fighter fun. Yeah, it's very difficult to explain. I mean, it's like it's got to finish certain animations, but they walk you off platforms and... Okay. So... Gang Wars... Your animation's glitching out there. This and swing this at you. You've got some gloves, well done. There's no dash either if you double tap. There's some moonwalking there. Yeah, I'm just disposing of the evidence there. Throw it in the river. Hands up, don't punch. Okay, I'll kick you instead then. There you go. Didn't tell me not to kick. Well, I think this is most unfair. You have a very big knife. Unlimited supply of very big knives. Also, bad beat 'em ups. There is Black Touch 96, of course. That almost makes Double Dragon 3 look good. It's another one of those where I got the enemy in the corner and just kept hitting the attack button and they couldn't do anything. Gotta love AI when it does that. This is Alpha Denshi, yes, Bob. It kind of has that Ninja Combat Neo Geo look, doesn't it? I think the fire there is reminding me a lot of things like Ninja Combat, which was also Alpha Denshi. It's amazing how we've come this far. Yes, I thought I would have quit a long time ago. I think the US version has some voices translated actually, whereas the world and Japanese versions don't. So if you want to play this in MAME for some reason, check out the US version, because from what I remember, the US version is the one that's got some tiles replaced and also has extra localizations on the sound, so I don't think that speech is in Japanese in the US version. It does indeed, Ramses. It does indeed. Anyway, I think we've seen enough of Gang Wars to get an idea of what Gang Wars is. Right, I did say I'd look at a Sega one. Burning Rival. Now, apparently this is the development team that went on to do Virtua Fighter and some important games like that. But this has always felt like a half-finished Street Fighter rip-off. To me, the sprite art doesn't even look finished. It kind of looks like they drew the characters. Look at those eyes. They drew the characters and go, right, this is sort of the placeholder art. We'll replace this later. We'll redo it, make it look good. And then they said, no, let's just ship the game. I mean, I guess maybe going for a slight cel-shaded look, but it still looks unfinished. If you loaded up some prototypes, like it's that Dragon's Heaven Neo Geo one, the early sprite art for the unfinished characters looks closer to how these are. Yeah, System 32 had so many games that just weren't actually very good. Let's credit it up. So, especially that character, that's more unfinished than the rest. Let's be her. Footballer Bill. Again, there's too many frames of animation in some places, not enough in others. Doesn't play especially well. You know, you just shoot that out of your midriff for no apparent reason. They've gone for a timer bar instead of a number, but I don't know. And yeah, yes, this was clearly. I'd say this must have come after Street Fighter 2 and was an attempt to cash in on Street Fighter 2. It just doesn't do a very good job at all. I thought that was going to be an advert for Black Touch in the background, but it's just touch play. One hand touch, apparently. You win. Great. The great is sarcastic, I believe. Yeah, everybody was just trying to do Street Fighter 2, and sometimes I think it worked out. I think Data East did a good job with Fighter's history, but I think Sega did a terrible job here, and there were so many other bad ones too. Survival Arts, I think we talked about before. And obviously that era spawned things like Rise of the Robots that we all love. Karate Arnold. It's an ear-piercing sound effect. And System 32 can do transparency, so why are they doing flicker effects? I don't know. I flew off the screen, then landed on the screen. Okay. They have tournaments for this game. I'm surprised anybody wants to play this game. That amazes me that there are tournaments for this game. Oh yeah, it's a 6-button game. So, you know, I could probably use the other buttons. Oh, I've got a move. Oh, I've got another move. But it does just look like somebody at Sega looked at Street Fighter 2 and went, we need to copy that, and they came up with this. This Karate Arnold was too powerful for me. So I'm going to be Karate Arnold. Boxer Jackson. Again, the literal shop signs feel like placeholder. It's like, well, we'll write what type of shop it's meant to be on there, and then when we redo the art, we'll fill it in better. You know, we'll fill in a better name. And it never happens. That's how the whole game feels to me. The whole game feels like placeholder, but released as a game. I guess the fighting games have to be somewhat playable to do that Super Volteca. Otherwise, or do they just ban certain characters that will, you know, break the games? Apparently this is now ineffective. Rise of the Robot Tournament. Don't know. I mean, I might pay to watch a Rise of the Robot Tournament just to see the people suffer. I don't think I've ever seen anybody play Rise of the Robot 2 player. Ever. There's probably a good reason for that. He throws eagles as fireballs. But he's karate. Like karate eagles. Taito never really produced any great beat 'em ups, did they? At least not really. They did Kaiser Knuckle, which is playable, but there's other bad fighting games I could be looking at too. I might put another bad fighting game on after this too. The backgrounds are all very generic too. These cityscapes are just uninspired. This one's a cityscape on top of a building. The other was a cityscape at the ground level. And we had a very empty boxing ring. Again, they're not interesting backgrounds. They're not iconic backgrounds. There's nothing about them that is memorable. Animated Karate Fire Eagle is a new cartoon show. That could catch on. Try to appeal to those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans. With a new martial art based show with Eagle. I don't know. And the music's forgettable too. I mean, not one of Sega's best. The countdown starts on 3 for continue. That's unusual. I mean, it means you don't have to go through 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Random out of place textures in the background. It feels like one of those Korean games, not a Sega game. I described the game as placeholder, but yeah, bland maybe. I mean, this is a really poor title animation sequence. Got fire, lots of fire. Nothing fits together. There's no compelling reason. Oh, you want to be the best karate fighter. Right, okay, great. There's the beef and pork and the hamburger shop, which looks more like it's probably a cinema, and the clothing store. Yeah, I mean, they went on to better things, but It's not what you expect from Sega, is it? While we're doing bad fighting games, or at least fighting games I think are bad, we might have other opinions. What about Superior Soldiers from Irem? Irem did lots of fantastic games, you know, the R-Type and the like, but Irem were not known for fighting games. And I've tried playing this a few times, and I kind of get the feeling they're not very good at doing fighting games. But this is one that maybe some people like. I don't know. This is one that I've never liked myself. But I don't know what the general opinion outside of my own opinion is on this one. Just called Superior Soldiers. Let's credit it up. So let's be, yes, Catty Docs. I don't think this presentation style works for a fighting game either. Reptilian. This has got really odd animations. It's just surprising because Irem did such a good job on other games, beat 'em ups, shooters, and this not so much. Hey, RMAS, thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well. This is part of the R-Type universe, is it? Is that the part where you blow up the whole planet and this game no longer exists? I don't know. Look at this. Some things are over animated, some things aren't animated at all. I mean, that I'm just floating in the air while I'm being chewed on like that is with no animation. I think they might have done Super Volteca. There we go. Idle animation. Definitely not the rest of our animations. Can't seem to find any moves. But no animation here. I will just happily be chewed on. Well, maybe he has a name, he just couldn't communicate what his name was to everybody else. Look, it tells me some moves. Okay. Let's be Sat Insect. Is that an insect you sat on? I've got car sound effects. You like the look of this one, do you, Mania? Well, say some people might enjoy them. But yeah, I've got car sound effects when I run. Head is puny. Yeah, we had that on an earlier game, didn't we? Puny head versus huge body. It's got hardly any animation compared to some of the other fighters. Oh well. wish to park where you are. Was that just... Did he use his flame as a rocket propel for heavens? If so, where did the flame come from? They're already blocking everything on this fight. It's Reptilian 1. Now let's pretend we're playing Samurai Showdown. Yeah, it would have made an okay Amiga game. You're just blocking. Literally blocking everything I do on the first fight. I think I've had enough of that one. I can't get anywhere on it. I think that's why I don't like it. Maybe if you know how to play it, you know how to beat the computer, it's fine, but they just block everything. Now this one still has some ROM patch in it, because I don't think the collision is quite emulated correctly, but this is Godzilla by Banpresto. The reptilian is just called Dinosaur. Ah dear. So, good Godzilla games. There really aren't many, are there? This, I don't believe, is one of them. Honestly, I think this track mode is the best part of the game. It's a game about dinosaurs hugging each other, clearly. That's... Yeah, I better remap the buttons here. Versus battle mode. Yeah. That's... Right. It's a fighting game with a jump button rather than up for jump. There are a few Banpresto fighting games. So tell me to press all three buttons. There we go. I press all three buttons and done that attack. I mean, you could potentially create a decent fighting game with big creatures. I mean, Primal Rage almost managed it. Taito's Dino Rex didn't. That was another contender for this. Primal Rage doesn't really work well enough in MAME to play, though. It's basically a broken game. Although I might play one or two broken games at some point, but I don't like to play broken games and say they're bad games when they're broken, when the emulation's broken, because I think that's being unfair on them. I mean, Devastators was mentioned in the build-up to the chat as a bad game, but the collisions were broken in MAME, like really broken, so you can't really judge it as a game because it doesn't play anything like it's meant to. This, the only patch for the collisions is to do with the Z-axis, where it shouldn't be taken into account, so I think it's playing as it should. Maybe, I don't know. It might not be, but there could be issues I'm not aware of. Yeah, Banpresto is usually on licensed games. Let's just pick Godzilla. So, probably have to move away from bad fighters next because we've got about 15 minutes of the stream left. Probably about 10 after finishing this one. I'm stuck in a corner and having a bad time. I've never even really played the Super Robot Wars games, Super Volteca. But yeah, Godzilla's not really a very playable game. It has to be said. And so I will stop trying to play it. I'm not sure this one's necessarily a bad game. But let's see how it works. I've not improved the emulation at all. This was released in 1995. This is Final Lap R. The emulation of this might be quite broken. We'll see. Very quiet. Okay, sound is going to have to go right up on this one by the looks of it. Even then it might still be quiet, because for some reason this is super quiet. Monster Maulers isn't a terrible game as long as you play the Japanese version, Dink. So, if Cow's still in the chat, here you go, Cow. Here is Final Lap R. Which, you know, this was released in 1995. If you look at the other racing games that were in the arcades in 1995, this looks prehistoric. But here we go. I mean, you know my love of Final Lap games from previous streams where I covered the bug fixes in them. Now, obviously, the graphics are somewhat improved here. It's got a nicer road texture, more detailed cars. Same very twitchy controls. Same, I can spin out on every corner if I want to. It's the exact same formula as the old Final Lap games, just with slightly better graphics. On a system called the FL system, so the hardware was really built for this game. So again, the Final Lap had a huge following in Japan. It was actually a popular series there. But say this is a Daytona, really. So quite, you know, when you consider things like a Slipstream on System 32 didn't get released because they were considered too dated, and only got released in like Brazil. And then you see this did get released in Japan, and it's not really evolved at all. It's still basically pole position at heart, which is maybe where you'd say if anywhere Final Lap came from, an evolution of that. Cow's probably not even in the chat anymore. I played Final Lap too late. Now, there are a lot more bad games that I've not covered, so there will be a second bad game stream, that is for sure. And so I do want to cover some that are probably not too well emulated, but I don't want to be saying they're bad games because of emulation bugs. That is a worry, because I don't like it when streamers do that, especially if the streamers take old versions of MAME where there are bugs and then blame the game on the bugs, not realising they're using an old version of MAME. Because that's a really, really annoying thing to do. Now, I think one of the issues with the emulation of this from memory is the rear view mirror doesn't work, so you can't see the cars behind you, yeah. That's one of the reported issues. I'll have to have a look into that. So I'm looking at the driver and some of the chips it uses in general. to fix up Metal Hawk. So I might have to see why these sprites aren't rendering. But here we go. I'm not going to complete any of this. I'm not even going to get to the final lap on final lap. But it does feel like it handles a little better than the older games. But that might be me just being used to them. Now I say that and I spin out. But it's still a very twitchy game. Not an advertisement for Twitch. Advertisement. But yeah, final lap are... I'm not going to keep playing it. I think we've seen it. I don't know why. It doesn't really innovate anything. It came out far too late. I didn't like the game in the first place. Let's have a look at Reality Tennis. Now this is one where I think the emulation is probably making the game look worse than it is, because this runs on similar hardware to Wheels on Fire, and the Wheels on Fire hardware emulation is a complete mess. Apparently this is the drive is running the 68K at 4 megahertz. That's probably not correct. But I think at the correct clock speed this runs too fast, so I don't know what limits the speed of anything. So again, keep in mind that a lot of what you see here is probably down to bad emulation. But bad emulation, look, the demo still runs in turbo mode even with a 4 megahertz 68K, so there's clearly some issues here. But yeah, and the sprites are still in turbo mode, so that's a bit of a problem. But you know, no amount of emulation glitches are going to change the fact these sprites are hideous, and it screams "Ah!" when you get hit by the ball.
Love 15.
So this is probably meant to run a lot better with a lot less glitches. So don't judge the actual game. I just wanted to put this on because of the hilarious speech sample and awful digitized graphics.
30.
Yeah, Pit Fighter Tennis Edition. But yeah, it's glitching all over the place at the moment. The driver needs proper attention. It should probably be demoted to not working. I don't consider this to be a proper working game.
15, 30.
Same with Wheels on Fire. That should be demoted to not working. Neither game actually works, in my opinion. It does look... I imagine it's meant to be quite smooth. It's just...
30.
It runs as fast as it can. And just to stop it running too fast in other places, the 68K has been set to 4 megahertz, and yeah. So this needs emulation work. I might, if the emulation gets fixed and this is a really enjoyable tennis game, I might take it off the you know, the bad games list. Maybe it's a better game than I'm giving it credit for, because the emulation is kind of broken. But like I say, these ugly graphics are always going to be ugly. You miss... I don't know, when did you leave, David? It's worth getting this one fixed. Yeah, it's one that I probably need to have a look at myself at some point and see if I can improve it. Because it's potentially interesting. I've been playing quite a few fighters, David, so we had to look at like Superior Soldiers. I briefly looked at the Godzilla game and things like that. Sega's Burning Rival. You know, just some bad fighters. Right, so where should we go next? We could go with completely... Okay, I want to go with a fairly bad breakout game. This is called Cannonball. It runs on Pac-Man hardware and is by Novomatic in 1985. The curious thing about this is there's a whole bunch of sets on Crazy Climber hardware too, but all the Crazy Climber hardware sets are broken. And they're not broken because the emulation is broken, they're broken because this game's got protection. the bonus round is protected, and the Crazy Climber hardware sets must all be bootleg conversions because the protection routines in them are broken, and they can't possibly work. So some of them just glitch when you get to the bonus round, and one of the other ones just has the bonus round taken out because the bootleggers clearly couldn't be bothered to handle the protection correctly. However, the Crazy Climber hardware versions look better. So I'm wondering if there's an undumped original Crazy Climber hardware version set that's, we've not found yet. But this Pac-Man hardware set appears to be an original conversion for Pac-Man hardware. But this is what happens if you put a shelf on top of Pac-Man and just made him break a wall. Yeah, these are fantastic graphics, aren't they? So this is definitely a bad game. I believe this is an Italian game. I think Novomatic did a few other things that are all kind of bad too. But I mean, this is not the worst Breakout game I've played. There are worse Breakout games than this in MAME. Look at him, he really wanted to eat that little dot there, but then he realised it was the ball that had just fallen in front of him and clearly had been on the floor. And there is no longer edible. Yes, they should have called this Pack Shelf. Pack Shelf visits Umbrella Corp. That would have done, wouldn't it? Because that does look like an umbrella logo. So I just kind of feel like the games I would have been playing were too good, so I had to make a change and start playing some that were, the one that was genuinely bad. Now this doesn't use analog controls. It's a stick-based game, although the button speeds up your movement, so that's kind of works in terms of controls. Aha, I found a perfect spot. Blown up the base. So yeah, you actually get points for everything you haven't destroyed once you've blown up the base. Yeah, I mean there are quite a few Breakout clones with sticks. I mean, many home computer versions would have used a keyboard, regular joystick, so it could be done. And now there are 2 bases to break. I'm happy. No, happy is the person who's been fixing Hyper Neo Geo a few months ago. I'm not happy. Now, I don't know what the thing at the side is that... Oh, yeah, you can't be hit by those when they're coming down, but as soon as they hatch, you can collect the enemies as long as you're behind them, I believe. Yes, the shelf got narrower. Anyway. We are almost on 3 hours, but we're not quite on 3 hours, so I'm going to quit this just before the 3 hour mark, and that means I have to choose another game to play to take us over the 3 hour mark, or just talk for... Now, I'll find another game to play. Another bad game. Okay, that'll do. We're ending on some bad games. This is Space Force by Venture Line. I don't think that CPU really runs at 16 megahertz, but we'll see. What is Space Force? It's asteroids with a joystick and without vector graphics. Asteroids but bad, exactly. Kind of fits the theme, doesn't it? Asteroids with really bad sound too. I apologise to everybody. But yes, this is poverty asteroids, isn't it? That's a lot of games, but I'm sure I could find that many bad games if I really tried. Especially if I expand to go the Tiger LCDs, that should cover a fair chunk of them. 2,989. Yes. It is a little farty, isn't it? Rotate button. Press rotate button. Press whatever. I'd hope not, otherwise, you know, it's quite unpleasant if you have to listen to this happening in space. And you can fly quite quickly if you hammer the button. Surprisingly, this is not the worst Asteroids knockoff I've played. Although, I might save the other one for another stream, because, you know, we've done one Asteroids knockoff now. I could play some handheld. I did a little stream doing some handheld games before, a Game & Watch one. I've not done a lot of Tiger ones, because the Tiger ones rarely make sense. I tried to play that MC Hammer one before and just couldn't figure it out. So, bad steroids. Press rotate buttons to change initial. Yep, yeah. I don't think you need to see any more of that. It's bad asteroids. I mean, that is the game. I don't think... Okay, since that's only quick, let's do bad driving game 2. Driving Force, Pac-Man conversion, 1984. Shinkai Inc. Magic Electronics license. Driving force. Last game. I'm preparing to race. None of the Tiger games make any sense. You basically have to read the instructions and use your imagination. All of it. It's like a bad version of Turbo. Imagine converting your Pac-Man to this. I mean, obviously, you could do worse. You could convert your Pac-Man to Cannonball that we played a minute ago, but... No, it's fog. I mean, okay, in its own right, this might not be awful. I mean, I played things like Enduro on the Atari and enjoyed it. But this deserves a place on the list simply because who's going to convert a Pac-Man to play this? Why would you? It got dark and foggy, and the race is over. Space Force was developed by Amusement World Inc. Venture Line. Its working titles Meteors and Atari sued Amusement World. That does not surprise me, Aussie guy. It's a very blatant rip-off, and it's kind of terrible. Yeah, the road's not bad. I'm not sure how they did it, actually. I mean, what we got in the tile set. I mean, it's on the tile map by the looks of it. I don't know. Not sure. Clearly extends the hardware a bit, but I think it is just a fancy tile and scroll effect. So yeah. Of the things you could convert Pac-Man to, there are worse choices, but I still don't think this is especially good. And it uses joystick, not analog controls, so... Oh yeah, there are far worse bad home games, Bob. I mean, this is why I specifically want to do arcade games in this stream, because if I said just bad games, you know, there's thousands of bad home games. Cosmos conversion to Galaxian. Isn't Cosmos quite a rare one in the first place? Well, I think Galaxian Moon Cresta hardware is the most common Davit. I mean, this conversion was also available for that. This is the Galaxian conversion of the thing. Now, this is probably actually the worst version, so maybe I should have played this one, because this one's got horrible sound. Gone is the lovely sound. Not that it was ever that lovely. Now you have... Well, yeah. Does it hurt yet? Are birds coming to try and mate with you? Yeah, this version has far worse sound. Yeah, because the Galaxian sound hardware is far worse. I mean, it's the same game. So, this is how I get everybody to tune out at the end of the stream, before I actually end the stream. It's by deafening them. You know, the funny thing with this game is it's got protection. You get to certain stages in the track and it will do protection checks. So for a long time in MAME, some of the sets of this did reset after you got past a certain number of cars. They really felt the need to protect their game. I guess to stop other people just selling unofficial conversion kits themselves, but... Yeah, that's what's saying with Taito's Rock Climb, really. It feels like a bootleg of a conversion or something, because it's got those horrible Galaxian Moon Cresta sounds. Like so many of these conversions and things did. But yeah, that's definitely the worst version of it. Anyway, yes, it's definitely inspired by Enduro, but nowhere near as good as Enduro Malmanian. Enduro is a really good game, a good fun game that just handles perfectly. That handles kind of badly. But, right. So there are many games I have not covered in this one. I mean, I was going to have a look at Cybertank, Hunchback Olympics, Ninja Clowns, Professor Pac-Man, which is kind of bad, Peggle, which is kind of slow, Guardians of the Hood, Kabuki Z. All these things I have not looked at. So there will have to be a second part of these bad games. I don't know if I'll cover those in that part either, but it depends how I'm feeling on the day. But for now, we're over 3 hours, so I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's been here, been in the chat, been having a chat, been watching me play and suffer through these generally quite awful games. And it's been a slog. I mean, usually these streams fly by. This one, at times, has been dragging on a bit because the games have been so bad. The chat's been wonderful. You know, it's been good to see everybody have a good time having a chat. Throwing up the facts there, and I was going to apologise if I've missed anything people have said. And hey, I've seen there's Matt the Sprat there who I've not said hi to yet, and hadn't seen in the chat before. So hi to you. And yes, it's a bit like Turbo, but a little not so good, isn't it? Totally fell asleep until just now. That's all right. Don't worry about it. I mean, I was going to stream the other day and ended up having a nap and waking up about midnight to go. All right, there's no stream tonight. Oh yes, I let you see. This is the message from the developer of those games. That is how they feel about you, and you know you have to play them. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Take care and have a good one. Good night, everybody.